Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm making a Feel Better Soon card using the Care of My Heart from My Favorite Things, together with the tree frame cover up and the rippled background. I started by taking a piece of Ballet slipper cardstock from Concord and I added it in my MISTI. I'm going to really subtle add the rippled background from My Favorite Things on top of it. And therefore, using the same ink, you can also use something like Versamark to just have the impression on there. I didn't thought of that. So I used my mini ink cube of Ballet slipper to add this background to the cardstock. And it might not be really visible in this video, I'm really sorry for that. But it's really subtle as well. So I didn't want this background to take over the whole card. I also wanted to really subtly add the sentiment on one of the windows later on. So I didn't want that background to overtake everything, because then the sentiment would be in a space that was a bit too crowded with this background. So I'm just adding it same ink. And once I'm happy with sort of the impression that I have, although it's really subtle, I am going to die cut the tree frame cover up out of this piece of paper. Now, I bought this tree frame cover up quite a while back. I haven't used it so far and it's a shame. So I'm using it first time today, and I am going to use those gorgeous colors again together, the pinks and the dark blues. I'm also going to use these colors in the coloring of this image. So here we go. I'm starting with my darkest colors. That's how I prefer coloring. But you do you, whatever you feel comfortable with starting as your first marker, you take that one. For me, it's just going from darkest to lightest that works the best. I stamped this image on Transotype perfect coloring paper, just using Obsidian black ink from Gina Designs Amalgam inks. That's what I prefer coloring with and stamping my image out with, because it can handle quite a lot of different mediums, and so I can never take the wrong ink. Whenever I'm using this, it will work for alcohol markers but also for watercolor, and so that's really handy. So here onto my second layer. Personally, I experience with this paper that I need at least 2 layers to be really happy with the blend and with the depth created on my images. So that's what I'm doing here. Sometimes I need more, sometimes less, but this paper can handle quite a lot of layers. So that's what I'm doing. This image is mostly blue. Well, the colors that I use for this image is mostly blue. Why? Because I already have quite a lot of pink in my background. So here on the image itself, there will be some subtle pink elements, but not too much neither, just to have a bit more of a balanced out card this way. Also, if you're curious about the markers later on, there's always a blog post where you can just revisit the combinations for each part of this image. I have the browns, I have yellows, pinks, blues, everything listed separately. And something that I didn't do, what I normally do and what I definitely recommend, is starting with the things that you find the hardest. And for me, that's the hair and the skin. And I didn't do it this time, and I still don't understand why. Maybe because I just had to make sure that the blue was going to fit with the pink. I have no clue. But here, finally, doing first the hair before continuing with all the rest. Why? Because the hardest part that you personally find of coloring can be the part that completely ruins your image. You know, there is a lot that you can fix, and you definitely should not immediately give up whenever things go a bit sideways. But if it's not savable anymore and you already colored the rest of your image because that was the easy part, then you have put in all the effort for an image that in the end failed because you didn't start on the hardest part. I know it's annoying to start with the hardest part, but it's definitely worth it, due to things that might not end up right, and then you have to start over and you have just not wasted all that time to something that you are going to throw away. So I did the hair, and then I will do first a bit of pink, because of course I was avoiding the skin again. There is just no logic in my coloring today, so I'm really sorry for that. It worked out fine, but you never know, and so normally I would really go first with the hardest parts. But, well, I ended up doing it like this and it turned out great, so can I complain? Not really. Was it smart? Not really. Am I lucky? Yes. So, finally onto the skin. I just have this skin combination that I use really often. It's the one that I grab towards whenever I am doing skins. It's not that this is the only skin out there. I'm pretty sure about that that's not the case. But yeah, it's just these markers are refilled. I have the refills for them. It's easy. They work, and that's why I use them. But there are many skin tones out there, so definitely if you want to use another one, use another one. I have made cards in the past with other skin tones. It's just that I really like adding brown to the hair, and well, it's hard to have different, well, how do you call it, different or enough contrast already with this. So yeah, I think it's why I just go with this skin tone. But yeah, it's maybe a bit boring, or it's getting boring maybe, and I use this skin tone all the time, just because it's easy and it works. So for the bunny, I decided to go with a bit of a gray one, warm grays here. Really subtle. I'm not adding too much contrast on this plushie. Why? Because it's a plushie. Because it's cute when it's soft, and well, that's why I kept it like this. I'm going to add a little bit of shadowing to the band-aid there, but nothing too crazy. And then of course I will still have to add something to that sun on the dress, so there I will use some yellows. I contemplated about adding a pink sun. I truly did, but then I just went for the yellow. That just seemed a bit easier. I'm using the same pink as the pink that I already used for the girl on her accessories and such. Normally for critters I would use another pink. I would use the two darkest markers from my skin combination, but I thought, well, since it's a plushie, there can be a bit of a pinkish nose instead of just, well, you know. So yeah, once I colored everything in, I'm using the matching dies to cut this cutie out, and then let's start with this frame again. My initial idea was to combine the midnight cardstock with my ballet slippers. It works. And then I found out that I didn't have any midnight cardstock anymore this size. It's horrible, and I will have to order. But apparently I use it all. So, solution, you take the ink of that color that you want and you go over the frame. And the cute thing about this is that actually the stitching details in this frame stayed pink. And I think it's genius. I never thought about it, that this could be the end result of doing this. But I'm going to show you here, or try it. Do you see the pink? I mean, it's genius. It's... whoa. No, but I'm really glad actually with this, how this turned out, because it wasn't in my original idea, but it's actually, I like it more than what I had in my mind. I'm using the same blue for my sentiment. This one is from the stamp set itself. Really handy. Love the script. It's subtle, it's thin, but it's gorgeous. And it's in one of the windows. So here I have that background, really subtle in the back. Now onto adhering everything. I wanted the frame to be a bit higher, so I am using Darice foam strips. Why? It's just the perfect size. These strips are thin and, well, not of thickness, but just, well, as you can see here, it's just perfect for this frame. So therefore it's perfect and handy and quick. So that's what I did. Then I added this frame on my card base, but watch out, because this frame is just slightly smaller than an A2 size, which I didn't know when I ordered it. I never read the measurements. I know I could have known it ahead of time, but I don't mind. I would have loved it to be A2, but this gives me also the opportunity to have a lovely border, so why not? It's not an issue at all. I place it on top of my card base, and then I could inlay the other pieces. Now first, in my original idea, I had in my mind to add the sentiment over there on top. That was what I intended to do, and then when I was going to place the sentiment, I was like, maybe on the bottom it's better, and I think both work, but I went for the bottom. So I just inlaid it there, and then I could inlay the other pieces. Just using some adhesive roller. You can use any liquid glue that you want as well. And then I am going to add this cutie. Therefore, I'm using some foam tape. It's sort of the same height as the Darice foam strips. It's not exactly the same, but for the tiny area where it's hanging over the Darice foam strips, I just don't mind that. I'm just adding it with a bit of Scotch 3M foam tape, making sure that I avoid that bar where it's going to overhang. And as you can see here, I am definitely checking out whether I'm not adding too much at a certain area where there is no space for that. And then I removed the backings and added it on top of my card. Now, this is one image. There are 3 windows. One of them has the sentiment. This might seem a bit weird, but I like it. And then I'm just going to finish this card off using white heart sprinkles from Heart Sprinkle Mix. This one is from Trinity stands. There are a lot of brands out there that have heart sprinkles, and I just love them. I think these really are my favorite embellishments out there. Why? Well, no, they are not my favorite. Well, it depends. Wow, what an explanation. But I just mean they are simple. They are almost in every color out there. I don't have them in every color, but I want to. They are matte, which I like, but there are also other occasions where I really like jewels and different sizes. Here you have one size, which is again the simplicity that I like. But on other cards, I like to differentiate the different sizes that you have in embellishments. So it's not my favorite, it's kind of my favorite. It's a shared space with jewels. Okay, and that's my card. Wow, a lot of blabbing, but I hope that you enjoyed this video and the coloring and the making of the card. If you have any questions, you can leave them down below in the comments. I truly appreciate you all being here. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much, and I'll be back soon. Bye!